What's going on, George?
What's going on, Sam? How's it going today?
Living good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Woke up this morning with the Seattle Seahawks in first place, so I can't say I'm doing too bad.
It's not too shabby when your team's winning football games, and we're kind of at that point. Well, welcome in, guys, to the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. As you probably just heard our names, the one talking right now is Sammy, and with me, as always,
This is George, and we welcome you all in on this beautiful Monday, Victory
beautiful
Monday.
Victory Monday. I was gonna say it's Victory Monday. It's an awesome time. Um, there's a lot of stories around the NFL and around the Seahawks in general. Like, just it's been kind of a crazy time, and people are starting to notice what's up with the Seahawks team. So it's I think we can start today with something really quick that I want to say. I'm going to go ahead and take the liberty and just begin it, which is I think it's safe to say when you're wrong in life, and I think it's a good thing to admit when you make mistakes.
Mhm.
And I made a pretty serious mistake thinking that maybe the Seahawks made the wrong choice this offseason, thinking, you know what? You take a franchise quarterback over a guy like Pete Carroll, right? Pick the
Yeah,
quarterback, not the coach that's getting really old. And I think now things can change, but I think so far it's become quite obvious that that was far from the truth. That picking the franchise coach over an aging quarterback, which it sounds weird to say Russell Wilson's aging, but we forget he came into the NFL a little later. He's 34 years old. I mean,
right.
we've seen some quarterbacks like Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco at 37, 38, be losing their jobs, right? Russell Wilson's only 3 years away from that age. So uh, I think it's safe to say now that Pete Carroll has been probably the most validated head coach, maybe even more than like Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick had a good roster that was, I guess, like was was less expected to be a tanking team than the Seahawks. The Seahawks people thought were going to be really shitty, and Pete Carroll got extremely validated this year that you know he's it. And you can say a lot about Geno Smith too, but I just wanted to start with Pete Carroll because I apologize for wanting him to be the scapegoat last year.
Yeah, and that's where the parallels, I never actually really thought of those parallels between Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick. And if you're gonna, I mean, that's a great point you just brought up. Because if you're gonna actually like look at it, pound for pound, I guess is the best way to really say it. Pound for pound, each one of them, they both lost Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And it seems like in the Bill Belichick case, I mean, there's still time left over, right? But Tom Brady looks like he won the divorce, and he's going through his own divorce right now. But in the Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson aspect of it, it looks like Pete Carroll has won a divorce. And it made me think of one thing when you just said that. Tom Brady retired last season and came back. Bill Belichick is still there, and people are all saying Tom Brady is most likely going to retire this offseason, and Bill Belichick's going to be there. So it makes me wonder who's going to be around longer in the NFL, Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll. And it's a little bit of a different situation because Tom Brady's way older than Russell Wilson, but it made me wonder that question: who's going to actually be around longer, Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson?
Well, first, I'm going to pause you for a second because
Okay.
I necessarily don't think there was a win loss in the Brady Belichick divorce. Now, I know Tom Brady did go and win the Super Bowl. He kind of looked validated more for the first season,
Yep.
but long term, I guess at the end of the day, Belichick's probably going to be a coach for another 5-10 years. If he wins another Super Bowl, I'd almost say he was more validated. I feel like as a coach, he's not on the field. Like it takes a lot as a coach to be good enough to get a team to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Like
No,
we know,
totally.
we knew regardless, Tom Brady was fucking great. What we knew it wasn't just Belichick that made him great, but if Belichick can do it without Tom Brady, I feel like the coach. It's harder to be great without the franchise quarterback than the quarterback can be good with many different coaches, right?
Yeah, I
Same
agree
with
with
like
that.
a Michael Jordan in basketball or a Kobe Bryant in basketball. Like you could be good with Phil Jackson or without Phil Jackson.
Yep,
I feel like the same
absolutely.
way, but it's more impressive when somebody like Phil Jackson can go to two different situations and win. Same for like a Belichick, right? Two different quarterbacks, two different eras and win. It might be just as impressive. And I think it's the same thing with like the Seattle situation, where you're saying who wins that divorce kind of depends on what you just said. Like, what if Pete's 71? What if he retires in 3 years, right? And then
Right.
Russell Wilson actually, there's no way he stays as bad as he's been. I mean,
No,
he's
no, no.
trying
Russell
to,
Wilson will definitely not be as
yeah,
bad as he looked. And if he does, then like
That was one
There's
of the
some
worst collapses in the history of the NFL.
history of sports. Maybe I've never seen someone fall off that quick.
Yeah.
Um,
So it
but
depends
it's a
how
good
long
question.
Pete stays around. I think I can't answer. I can't even take a guess. I mean, like I would have thought he might have been done like 5 years ago. I would have said now. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Same thing with it's like a Tom Brady question, right? Tom Brady and Pete Carroll very similar in this aspect of like they're extremely young for their age. Like nobody would have guessed Tom Brady plays till 45. Nobody I would not have guessed Pete Carroll still going at 71, 72,
Mhm.
73, but he
I
is.
wouldn't even have guessed. I mean, Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the league. If you just lined up a bunch of pictures of NFL head coaches or videos of NFL head coaches and asked someone who doesn't know the NFL who's the oldest head coach, I don't think many people are going to be pointing to Pete Carroll.
Maybe because of his hair. He's the only
Maybe.
one with the full white hair. But if you put
True.
Pete in if you put him in like a hat and like sunglasses and then ask that question, I agree. But attitude, emotionally, physically, he's like one of the youngest coaches in the NFL, with the exception of the like guys in their 30s, like the
Right.
McVays, right? So he could last a long time, but either way, I think at this point, forget who wins the divorce or doesn't. At this point, he's pretty much validated the fact that I wasn't just good at this because of Russell Wilson, right? And I think
Right.
that's some people were starting to get. There was last offseason, it was a big topic, right? It's like picking between Pete and Russ. It was a big topic, whether or not it was a stupid social media topic or it was the actual truth in the building. We'll never really know, right? Sounds like it
Yeah,
was.
unless there will be a telltale book one day, like years and years from now, but we never know.
Yeah, but we're not going to know now if it's true or not. But if it was between Pete and Russ, I genuinely thought you always go with the quarterback. Like, come on, the guy's 33. He's going to have 7, 8 more years of greatness. And Pete Carroll, 71. Through 7 weeks, what we've seen is Pete Carroll took a backup quarterback in Geno Smith, and he's playing like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. To be safe, I'll say top 7, whatever, right? Like outside of the Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, he's playing just as good as Brady, Rodgers, all these guys. Like
Yeah,
he's
I know
right there. Yeah.
that's the craziness of it.
And then Russell Wilson's playing like a bottom 5 quarterback who's now hurt again. Last year was the first time he got hurt in his career, and now he's hurt again, missed a game. They're saying he might miss this next week as well. So far, all I've seen is Russell Wilson's on the downturn and he needed Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll can make any team good as long as people are willing to be part of his cool Zen rah also like
Program, I'll call it.
program. Yeah, because I remember there was reports a couple years ago that people got tired out from it, right? But that's probably people that have been there for a long time. We have a lot of young guys, a lot of rookies, and a backup quarterback trying to prove himself. This is the perfect time to be part of the program, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point too, because like you just said something there, and it's like we got a lot of rookies, a lot of young people. Someone like Geno Smith who hasn't really proven himself yet, despite being in the NFL for X amount of years. So you're right; it's the program that really, it is almost like a collegiate program, and maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 years, his message gets a little bit clouded up, and people start tuning out that message. But definitely with all these young guys listening to him, and him having a Super Bowl ring and a national championship ring, young
Too.
people will come in there, 2 national championship rings. People will come in there and really actually listen to what the message Pete Carroll has to say and not tune it out.
Well, and I think that's exactly what's happening. If you look at Pete Carroll's career arc, right? His major successes was when he built a program in USC and filtered through guys every 3 or 4 years and won 2 national championships because he was good at building a program. And like you said, maybe the message lasts 2, 3 years. He had the Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman, Wagner, you can name all the names, whatever, the Legion of Boom era, where it was a bunch of young guys. The greatness lasted about 4 years. We lost in the first, we lost to the Falcons that 1 year, back-to-back Super Bowls. And then right after that second Super Bowl, because of a decision and just maybe it's wearing off, everything kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah. I think we
This
made the
season,
NFC championship game the year after against
yep,
Carolina, right? Yeah, I mean, that was it.
or the second round, one of the two.
Or second round,
And
one of the two, yeah.
everything started going downhill from there. Like quite frankly, like after the 4th year, right? And I'm saying the 4th year of the program. I think he was the coach a year or two before, but from that rookie class that really built things like 2011, 2012. Same thing happened right now. It feels like it's like, okay, you got this 2022 class. You had Kobe Bryant, the starting corner rookie, like change his profile picture to a smiling picture of Pete Carroll today.
Yeah.
These guys are 21, 22 years old. They're joining a new city, a new program. just like when they went off to college, right? So for those first 3-4 years, this is probably Pete Carroll's golden time before these guys get the big contract, before they know, how they're living in the NFL and their lifestyles. It's a new city, and this is your new family and program.
Right.
This is like Pete Carroll's time to shine. And I think the Seahawks have an extremely, extremely exciting moment right now, because with how good we are, George, we got Cross, Lucas, Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Mofe, however you say it, all in the draft this year. Dominated draft, right? We literally dominated this draft. And then as of right now, here's where we sit for current draft picks for this next coming season. And this could be the building block like 2012. As of right now, we have the 6th pick in the draft from Denver, which would be crazy. The 23rd pick, the 37th, the 54th, the 85th, 120th, 136, 151, and 182. We have 3 picks in the top 40 and like 2 of them in the top 30. And the 6th pick could be a huge deal. And we still have so much other pieces throughout every single round. A couple 5th round picks, a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick. And, we have a couple more coming from Denver for the next year. There's a lot of good things happening here. Like, this could be a huge moment for the Seahawks if Denver continues to be bad and we continue to be as good as we can.
Yeah, man, it's so exciting to hear all that. And I was just thinking while you were telling me all these draft picks, if we hit the draft like we did this year, I mean, could we be talking about 3-4 years from now, a Geno Smith led Super Bowl team? I mean, wouldn't that be no, seriously, wouldn't that be the biggest story in history I don't think it's ever happened in the NFL where a quarterback, I guess the closest thing to that is Trent Dilfer, right? He was a top 5 pick, if not the number 1 overall pick, kind of bounced around in his career, never really made it, and then took a defensive team like the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Story?
Sure, but I would say there's almost a 0% chance Geno Smith
coming from the guy who said we're going 1-16 this year. Geno Smith can win.
Okay, can you just give me? I don't know. Just let me say my sentence. There's almost a 0% chance Geno Smith is the starting quarterback for the Seahawks in 4 years. For example, he's 32 years old. I just don't foresee a place where somehow 36-year-old Geno Smith is still the Seahawks quarterback, and all of a sudden he's like Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan at his age 36. There's a very high chance that the Seahawks still look for a future quarterback here in the next season or two. And that might come from a 3rd round pick like it did last time. It might come from whatever. I don't know if they would use a top 5 pick right now on a quarterback. I just don't know if they're the way they've built from last year and how decent they've been this year. I feel like taking like a top 5 quarterback would almost be too much of a risk. I don't know. Maybe that's just
I don't think they would personally. Yeah. I mean, that's not Pete Carroll's MO really, but I mean,
pick up another lineman or pick up someone for the defense. And
then maybe, but like you said, Bo, a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, maybe even a 2nd round pick if they fall in love with the guy. But with Geno Smith, the thing with him is, he's 32 years old, but if you have to think about actually mileage in the NFL sense, he's a young 32. Being a backup for so many years has not given him a chance to get hit over and over and over and over again. I'm not saying he's going to be our starting quarterback.
That's not necessarily how human bodies work. It's not about how many times you get hit. If you notice, there's a reason there's no backup quarterbacks that are backups till 50 if they've never been hit.
Right.
The human body, at some point, like, you start to get sore faster.
But there's my question is more this. Like, I get it. Yeah. My question is, how long do you think Geno Smith has to be a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks? If he plays the rest of a year like he is right now, when do you say I have to go find a new quarterback? Because it's a very small sample size right now. But that's my question, really. Like, when
if he plays as good as he's playing now
for the rest of his season, yeah. what do? You commit to him to a 3-year contract?
If he's like a top 7 quarterback,
let's say he ends like in the top 12, a very good Ryan Tannehill level type of quarterback by then. At the end of his season, because right now he's playing like the modern day Dan Marino, like not that good. I'm joking, but he's playing so good. Let's just say though he kind of levels off, and now he's playing at the Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins type of level. What do you do at the end of his season? What kind of contract do you commit to?
So I think this is where the real issue comes in. Is if he is that good, he's probably going to get some offers elsewhere. That's number one. I think the Seahawks are not. They're not going to sign him to some like they're not going to sign him to a Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill contract,
No, I mean
$100
they already
million.
said told Russell Wilson to go fuck off.
Yeah. Well, but Russell Wilson's contract's almost triple of those
True.
guys. So
Yeah.
but like, could I see the Seahawks say, "Hey, Gino, here's 2 years, $20 million. It's $10 million a year. It's not like this. It's not this $25 million a year type of contract, but we gave you the like." You work in the system. Don't risk this. Like, just stay with us for 2 years. If we find the right quarterback in the draft and they have a year or two behind Gino, I think that's realistic.
Okay, that's fair.
I just don't. I would be surprised if I watched Gino. Obviously, George, if he does become somehow the future of the Seahawks and he plays this good, that's the easiest situation. It'd be my most favorable situation, right? That's the easiest one for the Seahawks, is if this guy just turned out to be great for 5 years. But I'd be shocked if I see him more than this year and next year. Like, I'd be shocked to see 3 full seasons of Geno Smith. But the only reason I say shocked too is because, I mean, expectations were here, right? So it's like the expectations were probably as low as can be for me. So like,
totally
it's
get
really
it.
hard to get to that, like, oh, what if he is just like a Kirk Cousins, and like people pay $100 million for a Kirk Cousins? So
Right.
but like, how realistic is it that this just continues to last? I'm not sure. I have no fucking idea. It's actually very confusing, but it's exciting, but very confusing because, like,
All right,
how has he been this good?
I got another question for you, Vin. What are your expectations going forward after watching these first 7 weeks? Because my expectations have changed. I definitely don't expect him to be Joe Burrow, but I do expect a Ryan Tannehill type of level after watching these first 7 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan, okay, you set it up, George. Drum roll,
Oh, my
Here we go.
favorite game is coming up.
Do you know what game it is?
Yes, it's Would You Rather Geno Smith edition.
Here we go. Are you ready? Would you
Yes.
rather Geno Smith edition? I already have names written down, so don't worry.
Oh, you do.
All right, let's start with would you rather. And okay, but before we get there, because I don't want people to, like, I know the comment section can get a little wild. Let's talk about our requirements here. Are we talking about on current contracts and current age for the future, correct?
Right, going forward.
And their current contracts.
Oh, God, that's so hard to put in line because, yeah, I would rather have Geno almost on any given this contract. But this is with expectations of what he might sign next year.
Yes. How about that? There you go.
Okay. If he continues like this.
Dak Prescott or Geno Smith?
All right, Dak Prescott.
I disagree. I think
I love it.
Well, first of all, I've always thought Dak Prescott is extremely overrated and he's extremely overpaid. We saw it this week. He's back from injury. Didn't look that great. The reason I'd say moving forward, Geno Smith, you'll probably get Geno Smith at half the price of Dak Prescott. Okay,
that's right.
Like
even if he resigns in the offseason.
Dak gets $40 million a year. You could get DK maybe or you can get Geno Smith for like 10, 15, and he's just as good of a quarterback.
And there are only 3. You know what? I'm gonna go back on that. I'll take Geno Smith. I actually thought Dak was like 25, 26, 27. He's 29 years old. He's not that young. It's only a 3-year difference.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah,
Geno Smith's situation's very
in my
odd.
head, like Dak was 26.
Yeah, he's not. Here's a young guy for you.
All right.
Would you rather Geno Smith or Kyler Murray?
Oh, Kyler Murray.
Okay, I would go Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler's a generational talent. I mean, God, he's so erratic, but the ceiling is a lot higher than Geno Smith.
Yeah, this one doesn't need explanation. I was just testing the water.
Okay.
All right. Geno Smith, this is probably the best comparison right now. Geno Smith or Marcus Mariota?
Oh, Geno Smith.
Okay, you hate Marcus Mariota and Oregon Ducks, but in general, that is a good comparison of like a very solid low-level starting quarterback. If Geno was to ever level out, he'd probably be Marcus Mariota.
Okay, that's fair, but I'm going to go with, I guess I'm thinking in my head, I know what Marcus Mariota's ceiling is. I don't know if we've seen Geno's ceiling yet.
Jesus
so I'm going.
Christ, he's not going to be Tom Brady.
No, of course not. Of course not. But yeah,
I am. Okay, Geno Smith or Jared Goff?
God, we've seen Jared Goff make a Super Bowl.
I'm going Geno Smith. And the reason is I just saw Jared Goff for the last 3 weeks just absolutely shit the bed in Detroit. He does get paid way too much.
Yeah, he gets
And
paid a
I don't
lot.
think he can he doesn't have the it factor that Geno Smith does. And I know that sounds corny because Geno's been a career backup, but you've seen these last couple of weeks. He has some it factor on his legs, on his attitude, the way the team rallies around him. So I'm going Geno over
I'm gonna
Jared
go
Goff.
Geno as well because I think if you throw Jared Goff in this team right now, our record would not be 4-3. It'd be closer to 2-5.
I agree. Okay, there you go. Geno Smith or Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Me too. Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is very underrated.
Me too. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks of his generation.
Geno Smith or Matt Stafford. Now, before you even answer that, remember Matt Stafford's on like $150 million contract, and he's been god awful this year. And we're actually beating them in the division. They have way more talent on their team, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, I'm gonna go Matt. I'm gonna go
Stafford's
Matt.
older.
Yeah, Matt Stafford's Russell Wilson's age exactly, 34, right? This one's so hard, but I know I'm gonna go Matt Stafford, but barely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Matt.
I mean, not
Stafford.
barely. I'm calling this fair. Matt Stafford was Super Bowl quarterback last year. It's just Matt Stafford.
Yeah, it's Matt Stafford. Now, the only reason the Matt Stafford one's hard is because we just saw him kind of collapse this year so far. Now, I think Matt Stafford's like the lowest of low for his career right now, and Geno's probably playing at the highest he's ever going to play right now. They're both anomalies right now. I feel right?
Fair
Geno's
enough, yeah.
playing almost too good for who he is, and Stafford's playing too bad for who he is. So
Absolutely,
that's a tough one. Kirk Cousins or Geno Smith?
Both of these quarterbacks are playing at the highest level I've ever seen them play this year.
It's got to be Kirk, right? It's Kirk.
But it's going to be Kirk Cousins. We've seen him do it before. I just want to see Kirk Cousins' age. He's 34 as well, 2 years. Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's Kirk Cousins. Russell Wilson or Geno Smith?
I mean, this one's easy for me. It has to be Geno Smith. When you're paying $250 million for that clown show, that's what you
Corn
get.
show.
Yeah. Remember, yesterday I came in. You're like, "Why is Seahawks good?" I'm like, "Because got rid of the clown show."
You did say he got rid of the clown show, and I was like, "This guy really hates Russell Wilson." It is. It seems like it's a clown show out there, and so it's happening in Denver. So God bless them. Tua Tagovailoa or Geno Smith?
Actually, both of them are playing very high level football right now. I think Geno's third in passer rating and Tua's fourth in passer rating in the NFL right now. It is Tua. He was a higher draft pick. He's younger, but that's an interesting one.
Okay, I got another young guy for you who's starting to play a lot better. Is Daniel Jones or Geno Smith?
Both.
We'll find out this weekend.
Yeah, we both play for the New York Giants. Another revenge game for Geno Smith this weekend.
It's not a revenge game when you didn't really play for the team. The guy was like a backup for one season.
What do you mean? He's the one who ended Eli Manning's start streak. Remember that?
Yeah, okay, but the guy is not he didn't play for the New York Giants.
I'm going with Geno Smith over Daniel Jones. I think Daboll's really doing a good job of hiding some deficiencies in Daniel Jones.
I'm going Daniel Jones just because he's 25 and
they're
6-1, and the guy is the most underrated running quarterback in the NFL. Weirdly enough,
I know because he's white. I mean, no one expects a white guy to run around.
That's not the reason. That's not the reason. You're wrong. Baker Mayfield looks like a guy that might be able to run, even though he can't. Johnny Manziel could run. It's not. I wasn't shocked because he's white. Daniel Jones literally looks like an insurance salesman. His body type. Have you seen his pregame outfits? It's
He literally looks like he's going to literally, like you said, sell you insurance.
Yeah, he's wearing a blue collared shirt with brown slacks and walking in with no fade haircut, no swag at all, just going to work. So it's you wouldn't expect, of course, because he's white also, but the type of white he is. He's just American white. I work as
right. It's like it reminds me of when Alex Smith was the second leading quarterback rusher in the NFL after Cam Newton. It was it doesn't look like you should be leading.
Fair, but Alex Smith probably has 10 times more swag than
yes.
Daniel.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's shocking.
We never got to the one I've been comparing. Are we going to get to Ryan Tannehill?
Hold on. Can we hold on? I got a list here. We have. Would you rather Geno Smith or Jimmy Garoppolo? That's a tough. This is as close as it gets to. This is almost as close as it gets to. Because hear me out. What did Jimmy Garoppolo sign this year?
A 2-year, $20 million contract.
Yeah, $10 million a year. I think that's exactly what Geno Smith will get if he plays this way the rest of the year. He'll get a 2-year, $20 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks. They are maybe the exact same situation.
Yeah, Garoppolo's 2 years younger. Here's the thing, before the season, I wanted the Seahawks to go get Jimmy Garoppolo, right? But watching Jimmy Garoppolo and Geno Smith right now play, if the 49ers called and said, "We'll give you Garoppolo for Geno Smith right now,"
We'd say
I
no.
think we'd hang up the phone.
We would hang up the phone, guaranteed. There's a couple reasons. One, Geno is making like 1.1 million this year, and you don't have to. With Garoppolo, you're committed for next year too. We don't have to commit to Geno yet, which is actually a big benefit, right? Like
Right.
the Seahawks, if he keeps playing good, great, we commit to him. If he doesn't, we're at no loss here, right?
Right.
So like,
No, yeah.
they wouldn't switch places.
House
So
money right now.
it is. So that's Geno Smith. I agree. And the Seahawks have good weapons, but I mean, goddamn, the 49ers have like some of the best offensive linemen in football. George Kittle, Debo Samuel, and now Christian McCaffrey. Like
Right.
the fact that Geno's outplaying Jimmy G it should be Geno. Like
Right.
that's the answer. Okay.
That's
Last one, George, which is, would you rather Geno Smith or Ryan Tannehill?
all right. This one is the one I'm excited for. I'm gonna go Geno Smith. Barely. I think that's who he is. I think he can level off at the Ryan Tannehill level. That's good enough to be a playoff quarterback, go on a run. We've seen the Titans go to an AFC championship game and lose. If Geno Smith is playing at his best for a full, year, 2 years, 3 years, it's Ryan Tannehill level. But I'm gonna go with Geno Smith right now, just barely. But yeah, that's who he is. Because I think he's much younger than Tannehill. I think Tannehill's like sneaky old, right?
I think he's like 34.
34, yeah. Not much
Is he?
younger. Yeah, it's 34.
Yeah. But every quarterback in the NFL is 34, right?
Yeah, I mean, is there a quarterback that's not 34? Everyone I read, I'm like, he's 34.
Kirk Cousins is 34. Russell
Matt
Wilson,
Stafford.
Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill. They're all like 34. It's just that era. It's that age. They're either like 25, like or 34, or like the
Right.
two guys that are in their 40s.
I mean, there's like that gap between, like, they don't have a great quarterback in between, and that's where Geno Smith comes in.
Yeah, the 30-year-old, 32-year-old. That's really good. The GOAT 32-year-old. Okay, so it sounds like I obviously left off the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen's, Joe Burrows of the world, the obvious ones. But based on what we're saying, like Geno Smith can fall roughly at the like 12th to 15th best quarterback in the NFL right now for who you would want with future, with contract, with everything. Like who would we replace spots with? There's probably only 8 to 10 quarterbacks the Seahawks would say, yeah, we'll swap them. Like, and those are some of the top ones, and then maybe a couple young ones like Tua.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. I know I wasn't even gonna ask that one because Trevor Lawrence, like you take Trevor Lawrence just
you find out, and then you find out.
Yeah. What is that new meme on the internet? The more you fuck around, the more you find out.
I like that.
Yeah. So the Seahawks would fuck around and try Trevor Lawrence because you got to find out because he could be
Jameis Winston or Geno Smith.
Unfortunately, it's Geno Smith.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Unfortunately, for us who have been Jameis Winston defenders, and that did
truthers. Not. I'm still a Jameis truther.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. There's no point to be.
It's a hard hill to live on.
It's a dark place. Well, Geno Smith, man, one of the absolute gems of this NFL season, and Pete Carroll, as we said, one of the gems of this NFL season, and here we are. We go to the Chargers. We win a game without much complication, without much like stress. My 3 biggest takeaways, man, 4 really. We've talked about most of them, which is Pete Carroll's kind of rejuvenated. Mm-hmm. Geno Smith has obviously been much greater. We've talked about the draft class, like Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant. All these guys are doing great, and Kenneth Walker. I mean, he's also playing like one of the best 5 running backs in the NFL right now.
That's all you can say about him.
He's fast. He's like it's crazy to watch him. Rushing yards, week 6 and 7. PFF put out this stat. This is kind of crazy. Week 6 and 7 combined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saquon Barkley had 193 yards. Travis Etienne, however you say it, Jags running back, had 200 yards. Okay. Kenneth Walker had 265 in 2 weeks. And get this. Kenneth Walker, after contact, 200 yards. That'd be the most yards in the last 2 weeks in the NFL by any running back. After contact.
That's amazing.
So the guy's just is insane, dude. The guy's getting hit at the line and just breaking out. He's fast, but he's also like strong and agile. Like he's not like one style of running back. He's not just a workhorse like up the middle, Sean Alexander, and like fall once he gets hit. Yeah. He's also not just like a speed demon. He's like kind of doing both.
I said he kind of reminded me, and I tweeted this other of like Ricky Waters in a way.
It's a
I don't know if
very
you remember
random
Ricky.
comparison.
You don't remember Ricky Waters' time in Seattle? Maybe you were a little too young, but same type of like running back where he was elusive, but at the same time he was like absolutely like a hard ass runner. He could literally go through the hole and was really violent. That's the best way to describe Ricky Waters' running style when he was on the Seahawks. He was violent, and I think Kenneth Walker's also violent. He's a violent runner.
See, I disagree. I don't think he's violent. That's the complete opposite of what I was saying. The guy is neither. That's why he's such a unicorn to me. Is we've had violent runners. Marshawn Lynch is a violent runner,
Right.
beast mode, like fucking head down. But then you also have running backs like, what's a good example? Like you have these like smaller, like the Christian McCaffreys who are good at catching at the beat, their speed, spin moves. Kenneth Walker's both. Like
Yeah.
the dude is breaking out for a 65-yard run from pure speed, not violent, not like not breaking tackles, just pure speed. But then also, if you need him to go up the middle for 3 yards, he will break 6 tackles. And then after he breaks 6 tackles, have a nice agile spin move and then break out for like speed 20 more yards. He's a perfect mix of both, is what I'm
Right.
like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Like, if anyone's listening to this and that watched Ricky Waters back in the day, tell me if you feel that comparison. I don't know if you remember him, Sammy. You were probably like 4 or 5. It was like before Sean Alexander. After
It means you were
more.
8 or 9, so you don't really remember him that
No,
well
I
either, my
I
friend.
remember Ricky. I mean, I remember because that's like the first like time I started watching football. It just reminds me of Ricky Waters for some reason. So maybe I'm wrong. So maybe there's someone older than me that remembers Ricky Waters much better than me, but he reminds me of Ricky Waters' running style.
Okay, very random comparison, but
Well,
the
they're both
point is,
Seahawks. It can't be that random.
I mean, I know it's just you pick the Seahawks running back.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
picked
reminds
the
me of this guy.
Seahawks
I'm not
running
saying it's
back.
random, like a random thought, because to me, like I just feel like this guy is so different than any of the type of running backs we've seen so far in our short time of having we have had a lot of good running backs with Sean Alexander, Marshawn Lynch, but he's just so different in the sense that I've I feel like he's so complete, right? Like all aspects of the game, he can do it as a running back, and I think it's just knock on wood, if this guy stays healthy, I mean, like we're looking at like a Saquon Barkley type of player that can carry your offense, right? Like Saquon Barkley's helped carry the Giants to 6-1, like as a running back. And I think we might have a guy in Kenneth Walker who could potentially have that type of ability, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna be like a Sean Alexander, even too, like where no matter who the quarterback is, like we have a chance because we have this running back that can almost, play to your point, like 90s football, to your point
Right.
of having a good running back in the NFL. Back then, that would win you games, right? Like in this new NFL, you don't really
The
see that.
workhorse days.
Yeah, and the only like we're seeing it barely these days. We see it with Saquon Barkley right now, and I feel like Kenneth Walker, man, like he has a chance to be that guy that's kind of just like, damn, this guy's winning you games just solely on handing him off the ball 25 times.
Yeah, no, it's pretty damn cool. And it looks like he's gonna probably be. I mean, if he keeps this up, it's way too early to say that, but like the rookie of the year in the NFL, offensive rookie of year at least.
I mean, most likely because Brees Hall is hurt now for the Jets.
Yeah.
And like a lineman's not going to get it. I mean, like Charles Cross for the Seahawks could deserve it, but he's offensive lineman. It's probably not going to get it.
Yeah, true. And if anyone's watching this full video, Sammy, I pulled up like I'm gonna pull up some Ricky Water highlights, and you tell me this is no judgment zone. If you don't find the running style similar, say it's not similar, but you tell me, and then
This
the
guy will
viewers tell me.
die on this hill about Ricky
No,
Waters.
I just want to see what you think of him. So let's see. Here we got the Ricky Waters highlight show for you guys. I loved Ricky Waters growing up. Even this like his body type kind of looks like Ricky Waters, doesn't it?
I don't know. It's just
Like
one clip. I love how you try to act like you're
I'm not.
like you're some
I'm
was it like
totally
NFL film savant?
I'm totally not. I'm just saying when I watched him, it reminded me of him. That's the first thing that popped into my head. Maybe because when I was little, I loved Ricky Waters. He's my favorite Seahawk. I find him like looks like him running.
His body type looks nothing like him. He's Ricky Waters was 6'1", 211 pounds. Kenneth Walker is 5'9", so he's extremely smaller.
Wow, he's only 5'9".
Yeah, I saw him next to Tariq Woolen yesterday, and he looked like he was at his chest.
Yeah, and by the way, these Seahawk jerseys, like they need I mean, you've tweeted about this multiple times. They need to come back ASAP.
Yeah, they do. This is the best look.
This
So
is such a good look.
based off first look, to me, no, it doesn't remind me of him at all
All
because
right, fair enough.
this guy's giant. This guy's 6'1" running back. Kenneth Walker's 5'11", and I know what you mean by violent runner. This guy looks like a violent runner. Okay, like he's hitting people. Yeah, Kenneth Walker, what we saw yesterday, like when he broke out that like 70-yard run, whatever it was, we're talking about a guy that's just like pure fucking speed, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he has both, because he's like a thick 5'9" guy. He's like 200 pounds at 5'9", but also because he's smaller, that speed's still there. I don't know, right? Like it's a unique situation.
Very, very true. And the last thing I'm going to say about this, I forgot that the Seahawks played at Husky Stadium. That looked so weird to me.
Yeah, before Quest was ready.
Yeah, it just looks weird to me. God, I miss those helmets. I hope we got to bring them back. All right, we're done with that clip. But yeah,
we should bring him back. This guy, we're on ADD level today, guys. I'm sorry. We just went from Ricky Waters running style to the jerseys to Ricky Waters back to the jerseys. Got those helmets, sir. These helmets, man. We do. Those are the best jerseys in the history of football. But too many people claim they look too much like the Raiders and Cowboys. So which I understand.
You know what? I never really thought of it like that. But they do look exactly like the Raiders Cowboy hybrid.
Yeah, that's why that's the only complaint we get on Twitter when I say we should bring these back. Like, what are we, the Cowboys and Raiders now? Like, I don't know.
Which, by the way, are the two best jerseys in the NFL. So, like, why not go?
Or just make our helmets like a different type of silver and go back to those jerseys. Or keep the blue helmet with the other hybrid of silver. Like, I don't know. There's a way to do it.
Yeah, our logo is too good to just have it just this generic of a jersey.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call our jersey generic.
No,
I think a lot of people consider them to be one of the better jerseys in the NFL because we have like the green lining and all that. But I just think it's hard when you see your team have an even better jersey in the past to like appreciate your current jerseys as much. Do you know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah, very fair.
Like it's hard. And the one in between, never bring it back.
Oh, yeah. You tweeted them the other day. It's like they are the worst jerseys in Seahawks history.
Yeah. The whites were okay, but those that like weird shiny blue was just disgusting. It was disgusting. All right. Well, I have one more thing to bring up because I have it written down, so I thought I might as well do it.
Bring it up.
It is. Da-da-dum. Da-da-dum. We have a tweet that I wanted to bring up, and I thought it was a good point. I thought it was funny to bring up. So we all know we got fleeced by the Jets a couple years ago.
We did, yeah.
Like now it's pretty obvious. And as much as I love Jamal Adams,
they pulled us to a Broncos on us, basically.
Yes. So Softy tweeted this. And I was like, this is such a good point. The Seahawks are doing to Denver what the Jets did to the Seahawks, only 10 times worse.
Very true.
It is 10 times worse. You got to think about this. Not only did this all happen, they had to take the quarterback and pay him $245 million and then be bad and give us that pick. That alone is 10 times worse than having it with like a safety that you pay, I don't know, we paid $80 million to.
Right.
Like it is 10 times worse. Although the Seahawks last year with the bad pick having to give it to the Jets also was kind of shitty for us. So this is our karma return for what happened with the Jamal Adams trade. And I like Jamal Adams.
I like Jamal Adams too. That's what I was going to say. I do feel bad for Jamal Adams, though. I wish he was part of his team right now because I think as much as the defense is getting better week by week, adding him as a veteran presence with his look when he's played, he's been all right. But the first game this year, that first half of Denver, he was all over the field, and I was like, we finally turned the corner with Jamal Adams, and he got hurt again.
Yeah, it's not just that he's been all right. He's a playmaker. Okay. Whatever. Like he's the type of guy I feel like in general, statistically is never going to be like fascinating anymore. Sure. Right. Like he's not like I'm going to be the best in coverage or I'm going to have 6 picks. The dude just has a little bit of like that. He's not as good. So don't take this the wrong way. He has a little bit of that Earl Thomas where like you open your eyes and like, oh, he's at the end of the play, like flying in and hitting someone. Right. Like always kind of a ball hawk, always like somewhere near the ball making a play. And the way this defense has improved so much, like the whole defense the last 2-3 weeks just looking better every week. If you had Jamal Adams back there with Diggs right now, you're right. This defense could be even a step up and that could give us even a better chance right now. So it's unfortunate not to have him, but he's going to be there next year. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Who fucking knows, I guess, because he always gets hurt. But
Poor guy.
He's going to be there next year. No one's trading for him, and we're paying him, so he's going to be there. I just
Yeah,
hope
he'll
that
be
he can
there
find a way
next
to stay
year.
healthy.
And hey, if he has one good, I mean, you don't do that whole trade for one good year, but if next year we come in, defense is built up a little bit more. I think, yeah, I don't like to look all the way to next year, but Kyler Murray doesn't seem like a world beater. Matt Stafford will only be a year older, and the 49ers are going to have to choose between Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. I like our chances next year too.
Yep. And you never know what happens. As much as I love Geno, George, there is some weird world where a free agency or a trade happens and you have a different quarterback next year. Like you have a Super Bowl contending quarterback. I don't know. Like, let's say it's not going to happen, but just like, let's say the Raiders ended up being shitty like they are right now, right? They go like 5-10 and Derek Carr wants out or something. Like Pete Carroll would make a move for somebody like a Derek Carr to be your quarterback. You might be a Super Bowl contender. Like, I'm just saying hypothetically. It rarely happens in NFL.
One thing we know with Pete Carroll and John Schneider is they're big on buy low, sell high. So I'm not saying that's going to be the case with Geno, but if we learn one thing, they're not afraid to move off of anyone.
Yeah, as much as we've liked Geno this year, just like they liked Russell Wilson,
right,
who won us a Super Bowl, they're like,
"Oh,
you want to get paid a lot?"
Yeah. They paid Matt Flynn and decided never to play him.
Yeah, because they're like, whatever, we'll do what's best for us.
Right.
Like,
so yeah, you are absolutely. It's not beyond any realm of imagination.
Yep. Last thing, George, is just so we can end this on a smile, is the Seahawks at 4-3 are first in the NFC West. What did Pete Carroll say at his press conference? He said, "Who would have thunk?"
Yeah, who would have thunk it?
That's what he said at the press conference.
Even me. I went into this year so optimistic. I was like, I think we can go 8-9, 7-10, and be an average team. That's what I was optimistic about. I did not by any means think through 7 weeks of a season we'd be sitting pretty at first place.
Yeah, and the fact that Pete Carroll said it shows that he's also a little like, so he's not surprised because he knows he's good at his job, but he didn't think maybe they'd be in first place through 7 weeks.
he has a chip on his shoulder for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely said some funny things like the post Denver games and some things like he definitely has like his notebook ready, like, they said what, or like, Russ what, like, let me just he has some like mental notes.
Unlike Geno, he's writing back a little bit though.
Yeah. Geno still hasn't written back though, shockingly.
Yeah.
I wonder, is he gonna write back? I don't
know. No, it's his brand now. He can't.
He can never write back. Yeah, so far he's not writing back, and I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, me too.
Man. All right. Well, much love. I think that's all we got, right?
I mean, that's all I got for now.
All right. Well, we'll be back in a few days, maybe next week after the game. We'll see. We're kind of, for those listening, we always have the post game, this podcast, and then if we find time or find the right topics and do something later in the week, we'll be there for you. So make sure you always, turn on your notifications on your podcast apps, or make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sant Seattle, SONT Seattle, to make sure when we have a podcast out, and always support and show love.
Yeah, that's what all the smart people do. They put on the notifications.
Exactly. Turn them on. All right. Well, much love, guys. This is the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. And as always, once again, I'm Sammy.
And I'm George. And thank you so much for stopping by.
Peace.